what's going on, everybody? This is David Brooks, the Cadillac Counselor, coming at you to tell you a piece of my mind. And you know what? Today, I have a brand new person jumping into the candidate race for the Board of Education. I have Chad King Wilson Sr., and his name will be on the ballot, and he'll be ready to be voted for. I know that there's a lot going on. Endorsements are starting to come out. Everybody's trying to grab one from here, from there. But I'm just trying to create these videos so that everyone has the ability to find out a little bit more about each candidate. So here we go. Another round, another day. Chad, you want to tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, and thank you so much, David, for this opportunity. I'm getting over a cold, so if my voice I sound congested, I apologize. You know how it is. My name is Chad King Wilson Sr. I'm a 17-year veteran educator. I'm a coach. I'm an educational activist. My background, I've taught special education, currently teach alternative education programs, and social studies. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I began my teaching career in Montgomery County, and I continue to teach as an educator in the classroom today in Montgomery County. You know, I fervently believe that every child should have access to inclusive, diverse, and world-class education. That, as Nelson Mandela said, is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. I continue to advocate for students daily, sometimes weekly, monthly in communities on the local, state, and national platforms. And I just want to say hello to everybody. And, you know, I'm ready for these questions, show you what I feel about these issues.
Well, hey, you know what? You said you work in alternative schooling. And so I was a product. I was in alternative school twice, once for fighting and matter of fact, both times were for fighting. But regardless, by the time I left, and I was in the top of my class, and when I graduated, but I was in jail by the time I was 19. So my question to you is if you came to Frederick, what would you do to help out with students that are heading into that life of alternative and maybe even incarceration later on?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I try to do as an educator is I try to build relationships with all my students. I think that's so vitally important. Students don't care what you know until they know that you care. So really seeing students as who they are and not who we think they should be. I think we need to meet students where they are and show them growth, show them how to get to the next level, give them ample opportunities to show what they know. Everybody, you know, isn't great sitting in a math classroom, but there's students out there right now that are great engineers, that are great working on cars, that will be very great in our society working careers. You know, like myself, I probably couldn't build you a birdhouse right now if you gave me all the stuff, but there's students that are great in social studies and analysis. I think, you know, when we expand the options that are given to students and students really get invested in the schools that they're in, they get invested in the teachers and educators that are educating them. And when I say educators, I mean teachers, educational support professionals, bus drivers, administrators, nutritional specialists, custodians. It takes a community nowadays to truly raise a child. And so I think if, you know, a student has a trusted adult or a group of trusted adults, that you really can make a difference in these students' lives. I know as an educator, we look at data, but sometimes it's not about the numbers. It's about what's inside that student's heart and mind. And we have to be the people to unlock it.
Very good. A lot of people have been, very frustrated with the school because of the lack of communication. Parents don't really know what's going on. Students don't really come home and tell exactly what happens in school systems. How would you improve the communication line between the district and parents?
Yeah, so I was just on the website the other day looking through curriculum. And again, I'm a teacher in the classroom right now, and it was difficult for me to be able to get to specifics about curriculum. I think an updated a website might be something that needs to be looked at. I think inviting teachers and educators into committees and really making them stakeholders and collaborative partners in decisions that are made will be very vital to the Board of Education. A lot of things we always put out in the email, we assume that everybody looks at. But I think, face-to-face communication in different languages to reach all of our families in the communities, town halls set up so that community members can meet with their Board of Education representatives, in a very timely manner. I also think the use of, the internet and social media is a great thing too. Whether it's having our students in Frederick County maybe set up a media type of thing where they are actually building the communications that will go out to other students. I believe in communication. I believe in transparency. If you ask me a question, I give you an honest answer. And I feel that the Board of Education should do the same thing. I don't think we should shy away from those difficult conversations. We need to embrace that. We need to embrace that everybody has different opinions. But the one thing is that everybody wants a great school system for their community and their children. And I think, Frederick County is a great school system, but I think it is a school system that might need to kind of accelerate with the times, but I think that is there across the nation with communication. So that's how I feel about that.
Okay. You were talking about curriculum, and I'll tell you, man, there's been a lot of conversation, and I know critical race theory is a basis for criminal justice. But it's been thrown into the school system. Some people say there's a need for people to understand the history, and there's some people that don't think that's important. What do you think about the curriculum? Should it just be strictly math, science, and history and English, or do you think that some of these other topics need to be taught to the children?
So I'm going to record and say my family is in education, and my aunt was actually a professor in Florida. She has a doctorate in education and is a lawyer. Critical race theory is not taught in schools. It's just absolutely not taught in schools. It is a legal theory that's taught in law. I teach social studies. Next year, I'll actually be teaching in Montgomery County. We have this year was a pilot program for AP African American history, and next year I'll be teaching a class at Watkins Mill High School. I think that curriculum needs to be diverse and it needs to be rich. That doesn't mean we move away from the fundamentals. But if I want to teach a student how to read, I want him to read what he or she enjoys reading. I want to build off of that. I think our elementary school curriculum can return to what I like to call the fundamentals, the fun that it used to be. I know when I went to elementary school, reading wasn't just sitting there and looking at a book or a chalkboard, but we played games. We get interactive. We really learned the phonetics of reading. We learned the joy of reading. We had 15 minutes of free reading every single day, and I would bring in R.L. Stein Goose Books book one day, a comic book the next day. So on elementary, I think we need to get back to putting that fun and fundamental education. Maryland right now for our educators ranks 49th in teacher autonomy. 49th. The only state that we are ahead of is Florida. So what teacher autonomy is allowing our professional educators who have training pedagogically, have training on how to reach students, have training on how to adapt curriculum for the students, and know the specific students that they work with. I believe that we need to unlock their professional potential and allow them to teach and reach their children. I may not know every fourth grade English or English language arts class that is going on in every single elementary school. But I guarantee if I walked around and I asked a fourth grade teacher at Ballinger or at any of our elementary schools, what is going on in your classroom, they can tell you about every single student, what level they're on, and how they can reach them a little better. At the high school level, I believe high school unlocks, it allows you to answer those questions about what you want to be when you go to college. And you know what? It's all right if you go to college and you don't know what you're going to be. I changed my major. But I think that we need to expand what our students are able to learn about. And yes, we do need to teach them the truth. We shouldn't shy away from history. History is what it is. It doesn't define who people are, but it's good to know, because if you forget where you came from, you are going to repeat the history again. And so I just really believe that we need objective based, but we have to trust the professionals. We have to trust our educators on what our students need. And, you were talking about, David, how, you're in alternative programs. Just think if you, and I don't know if this is true, but you probably had a class where you absolutely love going to, that really interests you, and you wanted to expound upon the learnings in that class. I think we need to expand what our students are able to reach out there and learn. Music and art, for instance. We need to expand music and art. Man, my son's learning the bass right now, and look, that is a very, very essential function of students learning. Music, art, fashion, history, science, all those things work together and make an amazing school system. So, every student is different. Every parent is different. Frederick County does do a good job, I believe, in equipping students to be ready for the world, but the world is changing, it's expanding, and I think we need to change and expand with it.
Very good. Um, Discipline is another thing that a lot of parents, a lot of teachers, bus drivers. I mean, I've whole time I was running, everybody would be like, "What are you gonna do about discipline? What are you gonna do about discipline? These kids are off the hook." What type of plans would you want to implement to help bring control back into the class and help protect the teachers?
Yeah. So I'm in the classroom right now. I will say this from a couple different angles. The first angle I'll say is we need to look at staffing. And I say staffing because we all know, you put too many people in a crowded room, there's going to be an issue. You put too many people crunched up against each other, there's going to be an issue. So there's no reason we should have classes of 35 or 40 students in there. Right. So we have to look at staffing. Do we have enough staff to accomplish the goals and objectives that we set out in our curriculum? I also look at it from a special education. Do we have enough staff to be able to put the supports in that we need for students? Do we have the capability to be able to manage different things? When you're standing in front of a classroom, there's behaviors happening in the back of your classroom. But if I'm trying to teach my curriculum and I'm looking out there 40 different students and there's 3 different issues going on, I can't jump in and kind of, push them away from that, right? We also have to look at how our counseling and the staffing in our counseling department as well. COVID changed a lot. Educators, teachers that I work with every day, we always say, this teacher pre-COVID, during COVID, or post-COVID. These students are coming to us with so many more emotional things, whether it was lives lost, whether it's they don't have food at home, they don't have a place to sleep. Maybe they're working 2 or 3 jobs. Maybe their parents are struggling, and they're bringing all these things into schools. So we also have to look at what are we doing when it comes to wraparound services. And Maryland is making a big push in the blueprint for community schools. Do we have those wraparound services for families? We know behaviors are learned. We know behaviors can be modified with time, but if behaviors are learned, we need to get to the root cause analysis of why this behavior is happening. And then most people go to the discipline part of it as well. What are the, this child does A, why aren't we doing B? I am a proponent of having justifiable reactions to what's happened in schools. For instance, if a student gets into a fight, right, a physical confrontation with another student, I don't just want to go straight to, 5 days, you're gone. because now we haven't solved the problem. All we've done is move that problem into the community. I want to get to the root. Why were you in this fight? What are some other behavioral ways you can react to this fight? However, if educators are being attacked, then we really need to look at, again, what are our responses to when educators are attacked by students? Is this a behavioral thing because of some type of emotional disability the student has? If that's the answer right there, why don't we have the staff in place to be able to handle that? Is this someone is being attacked on a bus? Why are our bus drivers don't have the staff to be able to make sure that their buses aren't chock full over 100%? So I think a lot of things happen with behavior, but that is why, a great person I've known has always said the smartest person in the room is the room. That's where we can get together as a community and stakeholders and really say, hey, what issues are we having in the community? What issues are we having in school? And what are justifiable responses to this? And do we have wraparound services to take care of that?
Very good. Um, Another topic that's been coming up is this policy 443,
Mm-hmm.
where there's a lot of gender conversations about, who's playing sports with who, whether someone's transgender should still be playing with their original sex that they were born. How do you think you're going to be able to bring solutions to this topic?
So I'll start out by saying that I believe that students have uh, rights and protections, and if they want to identify with whatever gender they feel they identify, then we as schools, we absolutely should support that. I think that is something an LGBTQ plus community. Um, they have some of the highest rates of suicide, and part of it is they're afraid to identify or tell everybody who they really are. Now, I'm also a coach. I coach football and I coach track. I actually coach Walker's Mill football team, and we had two female football players on the team. One of them actually was a starter for me and did very well. I think that is going to be a national level decision. I don't think I can handle that as a coach of a team or as a local level. I think that is going to work its way through the law at the national or state level. But I am a proponent of supporting students in their rights. I support inclusion. I support diversity. I want to ensure that we have a welcoming and affirming atmosphere for our LGBTQ plus and gender nonconforming students. I do it on my athletic teams. I do it in my personal life. But I think 443 as it applies to students playing a sport that was, for instance, if we want to have like I guess, a student that was, I just think it's going to have to be worked out at the national state level. I'm trying to think through scenarios, and I think there's so many different scenarios that can go through. Do I think myself as a 6'3", 335-pound male should go out there and play, girls basketball? No, I don't think I should. But then again, I think I'm just going to be a voice for creating a welcoming and affirming atmosphere in Frederick County Public Schools and let that sort itself out on the national state level. And once that comes down, again, smartest voice in the room is the room. We can sit down and hash out policies for Frederick County that will be beneficial to the community and all its stakeholders.
Very good. Um, Special education. Let's talk about that. You
Sure.
have a hand in that. Frederick County has had many different national news directed towards our special education. What
Mhm.
type of plans do you think needs to be placed in to help out with this situation?
Yeah, man. As a special education teacher, first of all, it broke my heart hearing what happened in Frederick County. By the way, my heart goes out to the family. That should never happen. When a student comes into my care as a special education teacher, they become my child. They become my heart. I would treat them like I would treat, my own children. I will say that special education is grossly underfunded in around the nation. And the first thing I would advocate for is funding. And again, it comes down to staffing. As somebody who's been a special educator, I'm teaching 5 classes. So I have to be a great teacher. I'm modifying curriculum. So I have to be great at scaffolding and modifying the curriculum. Then I have to do 20 plus IEPs and make sure that I'm doing everything that I can in these IEPs to make sure that my students, who are my children, have everything they need to be successful. And then that doesn't include the FBAs and the behavior intervention plans and being pulled over here for testing this and being pulled over here for this. And so special education has to be fully funded. One of the things that, unfortunately happens is when too many things going on and you don't have enough time in the day to do it, you don't become great at something. Either I'm not going to be great in the classroom delivering instruction, or I'm not going to be great in making sure that my individual education plans have all the supports my student needs, or I'm not going to be great supporting students, or halfway through the day when 2 of my students they need to see me, they need that extra support, and I'm not available. That is what really broke my heart. And again, special education not only deserves world-class servicing by our county, but they also deserve from the Board of Education fully funding, full staffing, and ensuring that these teachers have the correct professional development. They have enough time to do their jobs. They have the resources inside their schools to be able to do their jobs. And a lot of our schools, like, Brunswick High School or Catoctin or some of these schools, they aren't even built for the number of students that they're having. So do they even have the room to be able to put in the special education programs that I believe are needed for Frederick County Public School students? But yeah, all of our students need to be protected inside special education. Man, those are my babies, man. Special ed is just in my heart. That's where I want to be. But I am looking through the curriculum, and I do think we need some upgrades to programs. We need programs in more schools to make sure the special educators have the time, again, the staff and the resources, but also make sure special education students are included inside of our high schools to the best of our abilities.
Very good. So, uh, uh, Mr. Wilson, I'm very happy that you came on to discuss some of these topics that keep flying up through social media. And so before we go, if there's 17 people running, why should someone pick you out of that bunch?
Well, I believe people should pick me because I believe in diversity. I believe in inclusion. I believe in student privacy right protections. I believe in equity, communication, and transparency. I'm running because I am a student-focused person that believes all decisions should positively affect our students' academic, mental health, and physical well-being. I'm running because I want to ensure that our special education programs are fully staffed, fully equipped, fully resourced. I am committing to advocating for Frederick County Public Schools to get the funding that is needed. I am committed to advocating for every single student in Frederick County Public Schools that has a dream that just needs some support to be unlocked. I'm running to create an environment that's conducive to academic achievement, ensuring that our educators are respected and valued as experts in their field. And I'm running because it's a calling for me. It was a calling for me to be an educator. It's a calling for me to be an advocate. It was a calling for me to be a coach. It's a calling for me to be a father. And I feel that my voice as an educator inside the classroom right now will lend to the Board of Education a perspective of professionals that are working in the field right now. And I just want to tell everybody in Frederick County, hopefully I get to meet everybody. I have 2 hands, so if I can shake 2 hands at the same time. But if you have anything that you want to ask of me or anything like that, please reach out. And thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it, Mr. Brooks. Thank you.
Hey man, I thank you for even giving me a shot. I mean, I thought I was almost done, but I see like 3, 4 names popped up this weekend. So I got more work to do, but I'm gonna get them all out. And when I do, at one point I want to try to do a debate with a couple of people that kind of see in the same realm. But you'll be hearing back from me again, but thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.